Here's a video for you beginners out there. This is called the ribbon spread. And it's one of the easiest flourishes you can learn how to do with a pack of cards. But it's also one of the most impressive, in my opinion. You know, if you go out there and ask ordinary people what they find to be cool, I guarantee that many of them will say that something as simple as this is more impressive than you know, one of those crazy XCM multi-packet cuts that we like to practice for months and months. So it's just good to keep things in perspective sometimes. You know, what happens is, I completely understand it. You know, I understand the urge, I had to go through it. But what happens is, you know, as we continue down this path of studying magic, our tastes change. We start to appreciate the more complicated and complex things. And then we start to try to impress ourselves and other magicians. And that's fine, but you have to keep in mind that our audience is normal people, and their tastes are very different. So I guess a good thing to do from time to time is just to sit down and ask yourself, what is it that first sparked your interest in magic, and how did that develop? You know, and if you really want to be a great magician, you have to understand that process, and you have to get into the psychology of a normal person again. Okay. Okay, well, that was kind of a random rant, but let's get on with the move. This is the ribbon spread. And you need a deck that is in fairly good condition. It needs to spread nicely. It needs to be smooth. So as long as the deck isn't clumping up too much when you spread it out, then it should be fine. You can use an old deck, you can use a new deck as long as it's somewhat smooth. And then you also need a soft surface, something that has a little bit of cushion to it, a close-up mat, a carpet, something like that. Okay. You can do the spread on any surface, but if you want to do the flip over part of it, then you do need that soft surface. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. Place the deck on the table, and here's how I first did it, many years ago. Place your hand on top of the deck, push down, and then just spread to the right. And you should get a pretty consistent spread. Okay, now of course that looks funny. You don't actually want to do it like that. That's just to understand the concept. But once you're able to do that, here's how I do it now. Place the deck on the table. You're gripping the deck with the thumb from the back, and I use my middle and ring finger at the front. And then I place my first finger on the edge. Now the deck is kind of beveled to start with, meaning it's kind of slanted like that. And I place my first finger right there. Okay, so I push down with my hand, and then I just start to move my arm to the right, and I apply pressure with my first finger to kind of gauge how much of each card is spread, because I want there to be an approximately even amount of cards showing on each card to make it look like a good even spread. And the more even your spread is, the easier it is to flip the cards over. Okay, so this is the really cool looking part of the move is, you know, you can create kind of like a shockwave that causes all of the cards to flip over. It's like dominoes almost. Okay, so don't worry about that part yet. First, just work on getting a very consistent spread, an even spread. And you know, it just takes a little bit of experimentation. It's not too hard though. If you have a decent deck and a good surface, then you know, you just need to play around with the amount of pressure that you apply there. So just push down and then practice spreading. Once you have a good looking spread, then to flip it over, it's extremely easy. All you do is, okay, well, keep in mind that when I spread the cards out, the first few cards are laying, or I guess I should say the first card is laying on top of my left hand fingers. Okay, that way I don't have to come over here and then struggle with picking up that first card before I do the flip over. I'm just immediately ready. Okay, so it's the first card is laying on my finger. So from here, all I have to do is flip over, flip over, flip over. When I'm about here, all I do is kind of push down on that card, and that's gonna create this shock wave. And if you push down hard enough, it'll go all the way, like that. Okay, and you don't have to do it like that. I mean, there's a lot of variations on how you want to flip over this card. You can use your right hand finger to kind of ride it all the way across. Gosh, I don't know. You could. Some people use a card, and they just do that, and then they deposit it back underneath. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, really. I usually just do like a shockwave kind of thing. I think that's coolest. I do the shockwave, then from here you can either go back in the other direction, or I usually just scoop up the cards at that point. Alright, just scoop up the cards and then flip them face down, and you're back to where you began. Alright, that's really all there is to it. That's the ribbon spread. So it's a really cool looking move, very easy to do, and it makes you look like a pro without much work. So have fun with that, and I'll see you next time.